shape. My tremor on my left side has gotten much worse. And I had to work on trying to solve that problem. Plus, I was just fuzzy headed. So I slept most of the day, and that seemed to have helped correct it. So I have to do better getting more sleep, but I'm fine. So, and for those of you that are worried, these aren't bandages. My skin sticks to the surface of my desk, and so I need something to keep it from doing that. So I wear these forearm warmers. It's a trend. Soon everybody's going to be wearing these. It's a fashion trend. Have you ever watched The Princess Bride, the film The Princess Bride? At one point, the pirate Roberts talks about everybody's going to wear a mask. And that was 20 years ago, and then COVID hit. So I thought that was pretty funny. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Make the mudra for the mandala offering, please. Here is the great earth filled with the smell of incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, the four continents, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of the Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayame. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha of the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joy severed with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom, may I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha of the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joy separate with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom, may I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joy severed with the understanding of emptiness, concentration, wisdom, I will attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. Okay, let's do a little bit of rejoicing. Who wants to go first? Svetlana, you're up first.
English channel, do you hear?
Yes.
Yes. Hello, Venerable Sumati. I rejoice that we have class tonight and today, and that you feel nice and you get better. That's very great rejoicing for me. And also, I would like to rejoice that I recorded a video for Asian Classic Institute to visit Mexico. They have such lottery. They cover all expenses for some person who share how devil debates angel teachings influence their lives. So I tried to record some moments from my day and demonstrate how thoughts like devil mind, like that is self-existent, that is problem, I should come first, they irritate me, these kind of thoughts in exchange for angel kinds of thoughts, everything is empty, that is my karma. So I wrote it there like so and W in brackets, how to say it. Yeah, so And it is a very joyful experience, and I think it also helps in the practice and in understanding. Yeah, so I
Excellent.
rejoice in it to share. Yeah.
Good. Very good. Okay. I don't know. There's a gentleman. His name is in Russian. I have no idea.
It's a lady, Lyubov. Her name is Lyubov, and it's
Oh, I'm
translated
sorry.
love. Her name
Okay.
means love.
Sorry, your short hair
Oh,
confused me. Okay, can you rejoice? Do you have something to rejoice about?
Ну да, я сегодня
yes, today I lead my grandson to pass exams. He want to go to school, and he likes to draw. And there are many children who want to draw, and that there are not only boys but also girls. And I was rejoicing that I see in them some unconditional love.
Wow,
He has such a full love. He has such complete love, and I
that's
rejoice about that.
wonderful. At that age, how old is he?
9.
9.
Oh, that's wonderful. When I was 9 years old, 1962, I wasn't worried about pretty much anybody but myself. So to be compassionate and have love like that at the age of 9 is wonderful. Okay, Natalia, what do you have to rejoice in?
Today I have translated a class Tibetan for beginners with Oscar Leon. I translated it to Russian, and we started teaching the mandala offering in Tibetan. So I'm very happy about this.
Well, good. Maybe you can start leading the mandala offering for my classes when you
Learn it, yeah.
when you attend. Yeah. Okay. Let's start. I usually start with Katya, but today we're going to start with Sheila. Sheila, what do you have to rejoice in?
Hi, good afternoon. I rejoice that you are here and we have class, and I also rejoice because Svetlana is going to come to Mexico to the Angel Debates the Devil, and I rejoice also to the video she made. It was beautiful. I can saw the video and it's beautiful, beautiful. And I also rejoice that I certificate ACI 4 and I'm ready to begin ACI 5.
Well, we start on Monday, so very good.
Okay.
Okay. Katya, what do you have to rejoice in?
Hi, I rejoice that I am helping with the retreat, the July retreat in Mexico. I'm helping with the payment links, with the registrations, with all the things that we need for the first step, and I'm really happy about that.
Very good. Thank you for doing that. Okay, Jackie, you're up.
Thank you, everyone, dearest friends. Rejoicing for your gratitude and kindness. Deeply appreciate your care and your support and your generosity to be able to share. And I feel grateful, incredibly grateful for the ALL, Asian Legacy Library, beautiful concert that they played yesterday for us. It was so beautiful. The music, it gave me the courage to be able to just share what others couldn't say. And to be able to find the words, and just the beauty of this concert was magic. It was so precious and beautiful to really honor and celebrate ALL, and to really feel grateful for the beautiful MC, Emma. She was so beautiful and kind, and she was an inspiration, just how gentle and soft, and she's just so beautiful. And it was such a beautiful event, and to all those that are involved in this event, it was really special that it could be shared online for us to all enjoy in the world. So thank you.
Excellent. Well, what do I rejoice in? I rejoice that I was able to change my medication and it seems to be helping. I am upset that I got upset about the change in my tremor, but today I did much better and I have to sit on my hand when it gets going, otherwise it's very distracting. So I'm going to talk with my neurologist. I don't see her for another 6 weeks, but I'm going to email her and see if there's something we can do about it. And if not, I'll just have to learn to live with it. I rejoice that I have the courage to, usually the LamRim I teach, when I teach something like White Tara is the source of all my good. But I decided there's a second LamRim we study, the three principal paths. And I've decided to use that as the teaching thing for the LamRim class before the 21 praises. So that's stepping out on a new teaching for me, which I enjoy the challenge, but it's a little more of a challenge with my tremor. It's a little harder to work with PowerPoint. But I'm taking it on because I think it'll be fun to do something different. And that's just the way it is. And if I find out I can't complete it in time, I can always fall back on the source of all my good. Oh, I know something else more mundane. I've been looking for photographs of this particular test that I'm writing about. I contacted the University of Nevada, Las Vegas Special Collections, and this lady said, well, I don't think this will help, but here's what we have. And it turned out to be full color pictures of exactly what I was looking for. So I paid the money and I should be getting those scans very soon. They're exquisite color. The only trouble is it looks like the journal I want to publish them in won't have color inside. So I have to figure out something about that. But just exquisite photographs. Okay, so we're talking about, well, remember I had everybody do a little experiment in catching themselves thinking things are self-existent. And Geshe decided that that's what this next LamRim was going to be about in a way. So I was very happy that we tried doing that. For next class, I'd like you to again think of catching yourself thinking things are self-existent. And as we go through today's class, we're going to be talking about death and dying. And I want you all to focus your attention on what would you like, how can you make the fact that you die easier on your loved ones? Is everything organized? Katya, does Sheila know where your stuff is if you want to give it away or you want to donate it to her or what you want to do with it and vice versa? You need to list it and make a plan. So I'd like you to think about it. You don't have to have a plan all finished by next week, but I'd like you to stop and think about if you were to pass, what would happen? Instead of wondering what's going to happen to your stuff, have it organized. Then if something happens, you don't want to be worried about your possessions when you die. That's not the last thought you want in your mind. So try that, try to do that, and we'll have a little bit of a discussion about that next week. Okay, so we've been examining the idea of checking in with your mind just before you start anything to ask yourself why you're doing it. So it's not a matter of trying to force you to have some good motivation. There's something, it's not supposed to be an onerous task. It's supposed to get you in contact with with what's really happening when you do something. Why are you doing this? What's your motivation? So, for instance, we have a teaching now. How is what you're doing now going to be of use in this life? Well, if you're attending a teaching, for me, I'm spreading the Dharma, which is a very powerful karma for me to generate. You're listening, taking the time to listen to the Dharma, so that's a very powerful karma. But if you're listening to it and you're taking notes or you're studying it, then it's even more important because you're setting the seeds to teach it. And that's a very powerful sequence. But you have to do that knowingly. How can there's a better term for knowingly. You have to do that with attention. So, like when you open the door for someone or you pick up a piece of garbage, you can pick up the piece of garbage and throw it in the wastebasket. That's fine. But if you pick it up and say, I'm picking this up now so other people don't have garbage in their life, and in my future lives, I'll live in a clean environment. That's much more powerful. That's acting with wisdom instead of ignorance. And that's the whole point of today's class, is to focus our attention on doing things with wisdom instead of just by reflex. So, for instance, I've been alive here in the United States for 70 some years, and I just think the United States is going to continue to be the United States forever. But I'm very worried about where our politics are going. I'm worried about the world order. I'm a little concerned that China is going to attack Taiwan because we're occupied with the Ukraine and Somalia and Yemen. So the world that I know, relatively peaceful, a country that was believed in its institutions. The Supreme Court was not something people wondered about. The legislature on both houses would get things done. The president wasn't worried about retribution, about people he thinks wronged him. And now all of that's changed. So don't take for granted what you've got. That's because it's your karma ripening, and it's your karma ripening from a past life. And you don't know what you did in that past life. So it doesn't mean get depressed about it. In a past life, you did something joyously wonderful because you're listening to the Dharma. You've got Geshe Michael in your life. You've got ACI in your life. You've got Sangha members in your life. So you did some wonderful things in a past life. You're doing such things now. So that's the good part. Now you just have to know that when something makes you unhappy happens, you just have to respond with wisdom. If the energy for your body runs out and you haven't practiced and you die, what will happen? If you provided food to others in this world, you'll have food in your world, your new world. If you're taking care of the needy, you'll be born in a wealthy country. If you take an interest in others' spiritual practice and their right to have their own practice, you will have that. If you undertake this thinking before any action in your life, your actions will change. The quality of those actions will change. So that's what I'm talking about. When you help someone in need, the elderly couple that Jackie's helping, you can help them because it's a nice thing to do, or you can help them because A, you're helping them, and B, you're setting the seeds for your future, getting the type of help you need. Now that sounds kind of selfish, but if you think of it this way, by helping that couple in need, I'm setting the karmic seeds in my karmic continuum to have the help I need when I need it. And that's enlightened self-interest. Because you're not helping the other people because you're going to get money or something from them. You're helping the other people because that karma is going to ripen in your life to get the kind of help you need. But if you just help without thinking that, then it's still powerful, but it's not the kind of power that will happen if you show wisdom. So if you stop to think about what you're doing at work, the quality of the experience will change. You'll become more compassionate and kinder. So I was lucky enough to have a job where I couldn't get up early enough or stay late enough. And that's actually still true now. I stay up late working not because I'm watching movies, it's because I love what I'm doing and I'm burrowing deep into finding some information and I don't want to quit. So that gets to the point of perhaps being unhealthy for me, which I have to think more about. The point is you'll change how you think about your work, and that's in your day-to-day life. We're at the point in the teaching with Bumka Rinpoche when he says, you don't know if at this point next year you will be dressed in fine robes or the skin of an animal. We don't know what's going to happen next. And he emphasizes that things can change in a finger snap. We have 65 projections ripening per second. And in any given second, you could keel over from a heart attack, from a blood clot, a stroke. You could have a plane crash on your house. You could step out to do something and get hit by a car. I'm not trying to be scary. I'm just saying we don't know. That's the pervade. For me, we have suffering of suffering, which is obvious pain, suffering of change, which I like to think is there's ice cream, then it's gone. Then we have pervasive suffering. And that's usually taught, as I've said many times, that you're going to die. The minute you're born, you're starting to die. But I think the pervasive suffering that's more interesting to me is the fact that we don't know what's going to ripen next. So I don't consider that to be a suffering, really. I'm curious what's going to happen next. There are realms of great terror that can be projected by your mind. You have the seeds to see paradise and hell, and it depends on what seeds float to the top when you die. This is a very powerful thing to think about. He simply says this, after you die, it's not just as if your mind disappears. The experience of death has no effect on the presence of mind. It's foolish to think something will change just because the body dies. The mind flows on. That's what he means by a mind stream. You have to go somewhere. Well, let's be careful. You would be your body. Your mind doesn't go anywhere because it's everywhere. There are only two choices. You have to appreciate that when you reach the end of the highway, you can either go up or down, left or right. Something is going to come. It will be the same or better or worse. Geshe relates back when he first taught this particular class. There was well, I guess it was, he just remembers watching a video of people attacking Kuwait. So that's well before this class. And he said he saw this guy in a Mercedes all of a sudden just go up in a ball of flame and smoke. He got hit by a missile. And that guy probably didn't think that was going to happen when he got up that morning. That's how fast things can change. It's coming from your mind. The seeds to feel the air conditioner die, or your refrigerator die, or you get wrapped up in a ball of flame from an explosion. When those ripen, it's very real. There's a hell realm where they will kill you or crush you under mountains and you're dead. But then the suffering is that a voice comes and says to get back up and you revive. You get up and run around, they kill you again. They repeat this for many, many lifetimes until your karma for being in hell runs out and you hopefully go back up to the desire realm. Nowadays, you're cooking something and you burn your finger. How can you bear, if that hurts, what do you think it's going to be like being in a ball of flames in the Vichy hell? You don't have a choice if that's your karma to ripen. It's real. We're not teaching this because we don't want you to, I'm not teaching this because I want you to get scared. I'm teaching it because it's there, it exists. And if I don't teach this, I would be remiss because I really want you to think constantly about what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and what that means to your future. Once you die, you must go somewhere. The mind has to ripen. As long as we haven't seen emptiness directly and become Buddhas, you're going to be reborn. We tend to think you're going to be reborn on Earth. I don't know if that's a given or not. It's not that you have a different capacity of experience after you die. You have the same capacity. Whatever pain you have from burning your finger on the stove, it could be much worse if your whole body was burning. And don't think it can't happen. So you think of the worst thing that could happen on Earth, that's exactly what you might be born into. So for instance, I don't have to spend much imagination thinking of a hell realm. I think living in the Ukraine on a Ukraine battlefield or living in Yemen or Somalia or on a ship that's in the Red Sea, not knowing whether it's going to get hit by missiles, living in the slums, so to speak, of Calcutta and Bangladesh. All those things are quite possible. How do you get there? You get there based on what's in your mind at the time of death. The only thing separating us from these realms is a single breath. Well, that's not quite true. Your mind gets fried if you're without oxygen for 4 minutes. So that's several breaths. But the point is, it could take that little bit of time. I don't know if any of you have ever choked on food. I've had that happen in the last 3 months. And that's pretty scary when you realize you can't breathe. But when that happened, I was very pleased. I didn't panic. I didn't run around going, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. It was like, this is really sincerely what happens in the experiences I've had like this. I'm actually interested in what's going to happen next. I don't say, oh, I'm going to die. And my wife doesn't know I love her. All my students, what am I going to do? I think to myself, I'm about to find out what's next. And as I've said to many of my students, and I'll say again to you, if it's at all possible, if I have the karma and you have the karma to do so, I will let you know what's next. I'm not going there now. I feel fine, but just know when something happens, if you hear someone knock on your door at some weird hour, that might be me telling you what's going on in your next life. I don't think I'll knock on the door. I think I'll walk through the door and appear at the foot of your bed. So How do evil people come into your life? By you being evil in the past, not keeping your vows. You don't think of, I can't think of ever killing a human, but I could have killed a human in a past life, and that could ripen with me getting robbed or assaulted. So again, does that mean I should get depressed? No, it means realizing that the past is my present. I can't do much about the present, but I can from the past, but I can take the present and how I react to deeds from my past lives. And how I react sets my future. So I really like to try and remember every day as often as I can, the past is the present is the future. We all have good karmas and bad karmas mixed up in our mind. Everybody has good and bad deeds. Whichever ones are predominant at the moment of your death will ripen into your new life. It's a very important idea. The karmic seeds in your mind, which are going to spit out a bad reality, have to be activated in the moment of your death, or else they won't go off. You must be ignorant as you die for those seeds to ripen. The seeds cannot ripen unless you misunderstand the moment of your death. So if you study hard and are constantly looking for examples of catching yourself seeing things as self-existent, then you're going to find that in theory, if you're strong enough faith and you've done the kind of deeds, you're not wishing you took care of people, but you've been taking care of people. From what Pabunk Rinpoche and Geshe Michael are saying, that will really lessen the chances of an unfortunate rebirth. Doesn't mean you can give up trying to reach emptiness. Doesn't mean rest on your laurels. You took the 18 ACI courses, so you're prepared. You take the 18 ACI courses, either go on to the Tantric series or go and teach the 18 ACI courses. That's the kind of thing that are going to make your future life. Doing that in the present is going to show up in your future as a very positive place to live and a life to lead. So 6 things that cause karma to be committed and collected. So this is a review from an earlier class. The first step is intention. Did you mean to do it? Are all 4 parts present? Object, intention, undertaken, and completed? Do you have any regrets? Did you do it? If it was a bad deed, did you do something, an antidote to lessen the effect? Were you glad you did it? So let's go through that a little more detail. So we're going to use the object of killing. Okay, here's another assignment for Monday. This one I think will be more interesting. Take one of the 10 virtuous deeds and write out a path of karma. So the basis, the object involved is I'm going to do it for killing, but I want you to do it for one of the other non-virtues. So for killing, the object involved, the person you killed, the thinking involved, your intention or motivation. Did you kill with premeditated anger or accidentally while trying to help someone? That's a problem I have with insects. When I try during 3-year retreat, I got pretty good at catching flies with my hand, but I had to be very careful not to hit them or to crush them when I closed my hand. Correct identification: is the person you killed the one intended? Were you under the control of attraction, dislike, or ignorance when he committed the deed? Your motivation or intention, did you want to kill or was it an accident? Then you undertake the deed. Thinking about it is bad, but completing it is the worst. You complete the deed, you collect the karma when the person actually dies. So a path of karma motivates the mind to shift to its object. For example, ill will, craving, and wrong view are all paths of karma. They motivate the mind to move, which is what karma is. The 7 non-virtues of speech and body are karmas. Anger, love, etc. are not karma. The seeds have to be activated as you die by misunderstanding what's going on. If we make an honest evaluation of the seeds in our mind, we have to omit the negative ones. There are more negative ones. It's not that you're a bad person. It's that you didn't know, you were not, didn't have the wisdom to know, and you did a lot of things that end up ripening as unpleasant results. We go over this again and again in the ACI classes. You need to know how to get the seeds that are powerful and work with them. The power of an action depends on these 4 actions. What did you intend to have happen? Did you want the person you don't like to have a bad day? Are you making this fervent prayer that they have a bad day? And you hear they have some trouble and you're happy about it? You think that's fair? They deserved it? So you've got to be very, very careful. I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, what was it? What was it? Oh, man. Just went through my brain. Oh, come on. I caught myself in a situation where I almost said something in this conversation, and I caught myself because I realized the reason I would have said it was to argue or cause someone to get upset when it wasn't necessary. Oh, I was about my sister. We're going to Spain for the Heart Sutra, and some of you are going to be there. Yay! And so my sister has been to Spain. One of her sons is he living there now? No, they're back in China. But during COVID, he lived in Spain, and he's fluent in many languages. And he took my sister around to all the sites to see in Barcelona. And she was telling me, saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. And part of me wanted to say, well, Catherine, no, I don't need to do that. Thank you very much. But she was just trying to be helpful because she was an art history major and she was seeing stuff that she'd studied in school. So instead of saying, yeah, well, I don't know, maybe, I said, well, thank you. Would you make a list of the things you think I should see? And that's so much easier to do and wise, much wiser to do, because if I want people to listen to me in the future, I need to be conducive to listen to others. Now, was it sincere? Maybe, maybe not. That I have to deal with, but don't tell her. I wanted a list because there's some famous things that I should see if I'm going to be in Barcelona or in Spain in general. There's a pilgrimage road of some kind in Barcelona. I think it's in the northern part of Spain, we're going to be in the southern part of outside of Malaga, I think it is. We're going to be outside of Malaga. Several of my students there, two of them have houses. They live in Spain. And so it's going to be, we're very excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. Besides being able to teach and see everybody. So let's see what else we got here. 3 factors to make the karma more powerful. One is intense anger. You want to hurt them. The motivation is anger, extreme anger. The way in which you say the words, you're trying to think of a word that will hurt their feelings the most. You aim this verbal missile at their heart, and afterwards you think, I really show them who's who. So you have motivation, you have an action, and then you know how you felt about it afterwards. So that's a negative one. How about a positive version? You see someone who needs help. Where's an example? Well, helping someone fix a flat tire. You see them, you want to help them, you stop, and you don't just say, well, I can't do anything, I'll call AAA. You stop and you change the tire for them. All the while thinking that this is setting the seeds, even though I didn't know it at the time, this is setting the seeds for me to have other people in my life, whether they be my sisters, my mother, my students, get the help I would see them getting the help they need. And I did that even before I knew anything about Buddhism. So it must have been in a previous life I had some connection. Now, unfortunately, it goes to killing bed bugs. I've never been anywhere with bed bugs. I hope to never go anywhere with bed bugs. But apparently they crawl all over you, and in the morning they're glued to the wall filled with your blood. You can't get them out with anything. You have to burn the clothing or wash them in special soaps. So you're killing a lot of bugs, but you're trying to save your self from getting any illness or suffering from their bites. So that's a tough. It's a completion of the karma for killing if you did it with these 3 factors: intense anger at them, excruciating killing them, and thinking you've done a good deed. So if you kill bed bugs and say to yourself, I know I'm killing a living being, I don't want to do it, but my health is important and I need to take care of being able to sleep. So I'm sorry, bed bugs, you have to go. With ants, when the ants got into our meditation, our retreat cabin, it was very interesting. One day I came in and there was a string of this path of tiny, tiny ants. And they were going up, and I tracked down to what food they were eating. It wasn't sugar, it wasn't fat, it wasn't protein. It was, those those bouillon cubes. I don't know if they have them in Mexico. They're little cubes of concentrated spice that you put in the water and they make soup. It's called bouillon. Well, they had drilled their way through the foil covers of the cubes, and they were eating the vegetable bouillon. I couldn't believe it. But so instead of killing them, I took the vegetable bouillon cube and I put it outside for them and made sure to put it by their anthill. And so they didn't have to come inside for it. So for the rest of the retreat, when we had ants get into the cabin, we would track down, if possible, where their anthill was, then determine what kind of ants they were, protein ants, fat ants, or sugar ants. And once we figured that out, we could put an offering right at their anthill and stop them for the most part coming in. To really do a good deed well, plan carefully, execute it well, have a good motivation behind it, and dedicate it with the goodness. We talked about that in previous classes. It's very important to dedicate after you've done a good deed. And it can be as simple as, I dedicate this good deed to my future Buddhahood. I dedicate this good deed so that other people, well, for instance, instead of eating meat, when you have a vegetarian meal, instead of just saying, I'm thankful for the food, you could say, I'm thankful that I didn't have to kill an animal to enjoy this meal. I'm not ready to give up dairy products, but I'm trying because I don't like the idea that female cows are kept pregnant or given hormone shots to be like they're pregnant to keep giving milk. We don't have milk in the house, dairy milk. I still like cheese, although I've cut way back on the cheese. I tried the soy cheese. Have any of you tried soy cheese? Ugh, it's awful. When they can make a soy cheese as good as they make those fake meats, I had some chicken nuggets, which were textured soybean. Oh my God, those tasted good. Of course, anything fried tastes good. One of my students that lives in Tucson, we went to El Paso and we stopped in to see his mom. And she made me promise that I would come back with my lovely wife and she would make me chili rellenos and fried okra. I've never had okra that I thought was edible. I mean, if you serve it to me, I'll eat it, but she said her okra is especially tasty. Now, this is a good example of karma ripening very quickly. So we wanted to take her to her favorite restaurant, which is the Chinese buffet. So when we were talking about chili rellenos and different dishes before we went. We got to the restaurant. I went up to get my first plate of food. And in a Chinese buffet, there was a big tray of enchiladas. Now, in a Mexican restaurant, it makes no sense to have a big tray of enchiladas there. But my karma ripened having talked about how much I love enchiladas. My karma ripened to have a huge tray, one of those big trays of enchiladas. It was really, his mom couldn't stop being amazed by that. The other thing that was really fun was they were playing music. His mom's pretty much my age. And they were playing music in the restaurant that was back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. And so a song would come on and we'd both try and guess as quickly as possible what the song was based on the opening notes. And she really got into it. We had a lot of fun. She doesn't speak a word of English. I don't speak a word of Spanish, but we had the common knowledge of a love of music. So that was pretty fun. It's an interesting observation, and I'm not sure that I agree with this. None of us can maintain a good motivation for the time it takes to make a cup of coffee, but you can maintain a motivation of anger for hours. You think about how you're going to get back at someone. The concentration is very good. Unfortunately, it's anger, and that's setting the seeds you don't want. Most of our good deeds are interrupted by sleepiness. In the time it takes to recite a little prayer, we probably fall asleep. We don't have the capacity to maintain a virtuous thought for a minute. Now, see, I disagree with that. I think we do have I know I have the capacity to think of a virtuous thought for more than a minute. I'm thinking virtuous thoughts every second I teach. and the preparation for teaching. The good deeds that you credit yourself with don't have much power. They don't have the elements that would give them power. You think your mind's full of good seeds, but they're not strong. They're weak. The anger ones are strong. The hatred for your ex-spouse is strong. So in the case of people like us, when we approach the question of which seeds will assert themselves at the moment of death, it's not even a question. It's going to be the seeds we don't want. So that's where the concept of thinking about what's going to happen when you die is so important. You don't want to be thinking about who's going to get what, or did I tell my wife I loved her? Did I make sure that my prized possessions are going to go to somebody? Well, I've told you about that watch I have. My South African students are going to come and get that watch and start taking it around to people to see if they can find my reincarnation, which I think is silly because I'm going to reincarnate as I'm not sure what. But anyway, where's I going with that? Oh, wanting people to know what to do after you die. So instead of thinking at the end of when I'm dying, my students aren't going to be able to find that watch, which is so important to them. I've told them where it is. It's the second drawer from I have a 4-drawer file cabinet. It's the second drawer from the bottom. My watch is in there. So now when I'm dying, I don't have to think, oh, where's that? They don't know where the watch is. I don't want that thought on my mind when I die. I want my thought on my mind to think everything's laid out. People don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about things going where I wanted them to go because for 2 reasons. 1, I've laid out the information. And 2, when I die, that's the last of the things I need to worry about. You don't even have to be a good, particularly good person, but you have to have, let me see, just understand where things are coming from and the bad seeds won't go off. So you say to yourself, well, at the time of death, I'll be able to easily remember to think about only the good seeds. Well, at the time of death, it's pretty scary, apparently, and pretty scary. So you need to really think hard about being able to convince yourself that everything that's happening is coming from karmic seeds ripening. My computer is going nuts. So he had some questions asked at the end of this class. So I'm going to read some of the questions and I'll share the answers with you. If you have a good understanding of emptiness when you die, the bad seeds won't ripen. But what about while you're alive? This gets into the concept of a cessation. An undesirable trait within you is ended forever because you came to an intellectual understanding of where things come from. In your intellectual understanding, you cannot project a bad world because the completion of the karma is incomplete because of wisdom. The ripening of very bad karmas cannot open if you understand wisdom. Nirvana is where negative seeds for negative thoughts are stopped forever. And it requires you to see emptiness directly and includes all the seeds for even thinking negative thoughts. So the important message of today's class Well, here's another question. This student says, I'm curious if there is a place in this ripening for compassion and forgiveness. If you understand how karma works well, says Geshe Michael, if you're well trained in how to plant and cultivate good seeds, you could become wealthy or have everything you want, whether it be wealth or just teachings and stuff like that. If you understand seeds, the karmic seeds, then you can have financial or spiritual success. Geshe Michael has an observation. He's taught all over the world. And he says, when you observe what's happening in the communities where they've taught these major concepts of karma and emptiness, and you see that the general awareness is rising, there are pockets of success that are all around the world, then it's much easier to believe this all really can happen. What would it be like if big companies were to compete to serve the poor? Could we have that happen? Well, that's one of my wife's and my goals. We have this thing we call secret garden, and I can't go into the details because it's secret. But what we do, it's like a massively detailed rejoicing practice. So when you rejoice about something good you've done, take it the next step and try and figure out how you could teach other people how to rejoice and why rejoicing is such a good idea. Maybe I'll talk to my lovely wife about it. She's in retreat now, short retreat. Yeah, I think we'll do a class on rejoicing, and I'll share with you the secret garden. I think you'll enjoy that. So, Geshe Michael uses the example of getting a new car. If you want to get or a new computer or a new whatever, make sure that somebody else gets the similar kind of thing they need. Now, for me, I personally, my take on this is if I want to get a new car, and I'm not asking for a new car, if I want to get, let's say, a new computer, then what I need to do is help people get the information they need, whether it be giving them a new computer or what. To me, it's not a one. In order to get a new car, you don't have to give somebody a car. In order to get a new car, which is your transportation, you need to help others get where they need to go. Now, that may be driving them somewhere with your old car. That may be helping them get to a bus stop or helping them understand. We have something called Neighbors Helping Neighbors here. And that's where neighbors, I can call the central number and say, I need to go grocery shopping next Thursday. And they sign up and someone comes by and picks me up and takes me shopping. So by them doing that, they're and if they dedicate it, they do it with wisdom, then that's what's going to ripen in your future, be it next life, the next day, and all future lives. But if they don't dedicate it, it's dirty good karma because it ripens and goes away. Whereas white karma is the kind of karma that stays, and you have transportation for anywhere you need to go forever. Oh, sorry, that's my. Okay, what else did I want to say? Well, I think that's about it. I think the important thing of this class is not to get scared by what'll happen with the bad deeds you've done and they ripen. The important thing is to really study the concept of emptiness, understand how karma and emptiness work, and understand that if what you want to have in the future, you need to take care of in the present, so that the idea of the past is your present and the present is your future is so simple. But if you really believe it, then you'll do only good deeds in this life. You'll dedicate them toward a happy future. But you have to do it with wisdom. Just understand deeply where things are coming from, and the bad seeds will never ripen. It's a habit, it's a way of thinking. I want something, I have to give it away. I want a new house, I have to help people with housing. I want a boyfriend, well, I don't want a boyfriend. I don't want a girlfriend. I don't want a new wife. If I want a friend, I have to go to the nursing home and make sure someone who is lonely has someone to talk to. Whatever you want, you make sure someone else has it first. How do you avoid irritating people? A well-trained person says, today I just helped people bickering around me. I had people bickering around me. The first thought should be, it's coming from me. It's my seeds ripening for having been bickering in the past. So you say to yourself, it's my karma ripening. Now I need to do something about it. Because I have the wisdom of karma and emptiness, I know that I have to stop bickering and I have to be more friendly and positive. You're always throwing a new reality in front of you every second. Take refuge in your understanding of karma and emptiness, where things come from. Be nice to people. You don't have to change the picture in your house or the language. It doesn't matter. That's a protection. So the protection, for instance, we talk about going to refuge in the three jewels. The pictures representing the Buddha are nominal. The nominal Buddha jewel. They're not the main Buddha jewel. The main Buddha jewel is the Dharmakaya, the emptiness of the Buddha. The books and teachings are the nominal Dharma jewel. The real Dharma jewel is seeing emptiness directly. The nominal Sangha jewel is ordained monks and nuns. The real Sangha jewel is everyone who has perceived emptiness directly. It doesn't mean you shouldn't respect the nominal, but you have to understand what the real Dharma jewel or Sangha jewel or Buddha jewel is and strive toward that. So every second of every day is a new reality being thrown in front of you by your karma. Rejoice in the fact that you have the karma to be in this world, in the desire realm. Now, we talk about samsara and getting out of samsara and the cycle of suffering. But I was thinking earlier today, as I was preparing for class, what's the good feature of samsara? We don't talk about it. What's the good feature of samsara? Anybody? Go ahead.
Which motivates us to do things, to take actions, to help and support others.
Well, that's right, but there is something even that's the result of what I'm looking for. Samsara, we're in the desire realm.
Pleasure.
Pleasure, well, it's the fact that being in the desire realm, being in the samsaric world, we can learn the Dharma Now, that's the question. Can you learn the Dharma when you're in your Buddha paradise? Well, of course. But for now, the only upside of being in samsara, and this is me, this isn't scripture, at least I haven't found it yet. I say the upside of living in samsara is that the desire realm in particular is that we can study the Dharma. And then as Jackie said, and Natalia, practice the Dharma. I think is really, really important. And I think that's part of the message that this class is about, is not only study the Dharma, but practice the Dharma. You need to, it's all well and good. I've known many students that go around the world collecting teachings from His Holiness and other learned teachers. The one teaching I went to with His Holiness he said, you know, I'm happy when so many people come to my teachings, but I'm even happier when I see them practicing what I'm teaching. I prefer to have people come to few of my teachings and practice what they've learned than to go to a lot of my teachings and not practice. And I think we need to be careful. When someone asks if I've been to many of His Holiness's teachings, I say, I've been to quite a few. I don't say how many and where. I might mention the subject he taught and how inspiring it was. But the most important thing is I'm practicing what he's taught me. I'm practicing what Geshe Michael's taught me. I'm practicing what you, my students, teach me. And believe me, I learn from all of you all the time. It's not a one-way ticket from me to you. I'm constantly learning from all of you. So when you ask me to stay in your life, I'm asking you to stay in my life. Okay, let's do our dedication. Okay, so your homework assignment, what did I decide we were going to do? We were going to get ready for start to organize your life, what you want to happen after you die. What was the other thing? I had two things.
Catch yourself thinking the things are self-existent.
Right.
And take what was this? Take one of the 10
Oh yeah, one of the 10 non-virtues and make a karmic path. That's one I really want you to focus on. It's not hard. It's not hard.
and
But
could
make
you
it
repeat the steps? Sorry for interrupting.
repeat the steps.
For the
Yeah,
karmic path.
yeah, I should have that memorized. My memory's starting to go. Let me see if I can find it in my notes here. I'm getting there. Okay. Correct identification. The thinking involved wasn't intentional or accidental. This is for like killing. Correct identification. Were you under the control of attraction, dislike, or ignorance when you committed the deed? Your motivation. You actually undertake the deed, and then you complete the deed. So this is where a sort of kind of a shorter version of this would be, well, let's make it even simpler. Come up with a karmic partner, example of a karmic partner. So you want something, you need something. How do you work with a karmic partner to get that something? So for instance, teachings. You you want to get more teachings. You want to be able to go, for instance, you want to be able to go to the Heart Sutra in Spain. So you say to yourself, how am I going to get to the Heart Sutra in Spain? I'm going to make sure that someone I know who wants to do something, not necessarily going to a teaching, but needs to get across town. Even it could be as simple as going to see a movie. You're helping someone get what they want. So you arrange to help that and you dedicate it toward going on your trip to Spain. And you do that consciously and often. And will it ripen in your trip to Spain? It might. It might ripen in a trip to Germany. It might ripen that Geshe Michael would show up in Mexico City. It might ripen that my lovely wife and I might come to Mexico. You don't know. It's like I've said in the past, don't over anticipate the occurrence of something. Just work hard at helping others get what you want and others get what they want so that you get what you want. Okay. May the source of benefit and goodness, the Dharma, spread and expand. May the beings upholding the Dharma have excellent health. May the source of happiness and well-being for all embodied beings, the Dharma taught by the Buddhas, always increase. Through this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of Guru Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. And last but not least, may the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Okay, so we'll see everybody on Tuesday, and we'll go over some of these things you came with, karmic partnerships you came up with. Okay. Take care, everybody. And Jackie, make sure to email me that PayPal contact. It's really great to see everybody. And please understand, I feel fine. I'll let you know if I'm sick, really sick. I just wanted to let you know that the reason why I couldn't do class. But I'll try very hard to get a better sleep cycle going so I don't have these problems. Okay. Love you. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Have a nice weekend. Thank you.
Take care.